which then results in the creation of what's labeled as an ethnostress. And I refer you to a writing by, oh my goodness, on Bob Antone and Diane Hill on ethnostress, um, which is the stress created when a group of people in power oppresses another group of people because of their ethnicity. And it's resulted then in the current landscape of powerlessness and hopelessness and a condition of Indigenous children in school systems across Canada of less than quality education, of poor treatment, et cetera. And it's something then that starts to come to a head in the 1960s and 70s, where people then start to say, enough of that, we'll do this no more. And so starting in the 1970s, we have a resurgence of Indian control of Indian education, is what we called it. And the picture here is the first graduating class of the Kahnawake Survival School in 1978. We pulled 250 children out of provincial high school and started our own high school because Quebec said, you have to have our permission if you want to educate your children in English. And our parents, our mothers said, screw you, we decide how we're going to educate our children. And so there's an empowerment that you hear right here by action of people that say, you know what, we've had enough and we're not going to take it anymore because this is our home and this has happened in our homeland to our children, no more. And so we take this aggressive action to change it back in the other way. And this is the contemporary Kahnawake Survival School in Kahnawake, 40 years later, from having nothing except people opening their doors for children in 1978 to full high school. And so we see now a change in education where we're controlling education, and that circle is now a loving, safe circle, not one of fear and violence. And that it's a circle that is wrapped around in culture with the mothers and aunties and uncles of the community becoming teachers, not only of language and culture, but of the maths and the sciences and arts and all the subjects that are required. And so we're creating safe spaces again for our children to become role models for their siblings and to learn in safe environments, not only the academics, but also our cultural ways and practices, which gives us strength. And so I walk you through this very brief history of Indigenous education in a Canadian perspective to land then on the topic that then I focus on, which is cultural safety, which is a concept that comes out of health, identified by Maori nurses about 20 years ago, identifying the importance of the condition of patients receiving care with respect and dignity, and their culture being respected and being in a safe environment in order to receive optimum care. And it was Maori nurses that called this shot and identified it. And from there, it's gone on beyond nursing into various areas in health and in health education and in health research, which is what now we're doing at McGill with students, as I said. But there's levels of cultural safety, and I'll just skip ahead here then to wrap up, that right now, this little exercise was scratching the surface of an awareness of giving the audience, giving you students or teachers in the audience, a view of a different knowledge around a history that you have already heard, and acknowledging that there are children that may be in your classrooms, if you're in a First Nations community or if you're in an urban or in an urban setting, because our peoples there's been a diaspora of sorts, and half our populations have moved to urban areas. But we still carry with us our college, our history, and our knowledge. But your responsibility now as students and as learners who want to be teachers is to now go on the cultural safety journey, which means that as a teacher and as a parent and as a grandparent, I'm expecting you now to take what I've said to you and begin that journey of starting to understand it and start to explore and ask yourself, what do I know? What do I need to know? What do I need to learn and understand? And then to begin this journey of saying what I've just heard is if it's very different from what I've been taught by my family, by my religion, by my state, by my society about other people proves to be false, I then have to reassess and realign my thinking, and I have to start to realign my emotion around that. So it becomes a journey of self-reflection for those of us that are going to be in the field of education or in the field of health, working with other populations, so that eventually, ultimately, being a culturally safe educator means that the children in your class are going to receive what Lauren very eloquently and clearly described of the treatments, of the behaviors, of the values imparted, so that they feel safe. And so the indigenous experience that I share with you here applies to all children in our schools. This is where we come from. This is where the indigenous kids come from. Knowing that, therefore, we also have to remember in a classroom that if we have children of African descent, of immigrant descent, of refugee descent, women who identify with a gender specificity, our role and responsibility is to ensure that space for them is where they can be nurtured and they can grow, and that the gifts that the Creator has given them, sacred gifts that they've been given on this journey, are allowed to be taken out and used for the fullest to support the society together. So those are the lessons from indigenous teaching to all of us as educators, all of us when we go into classrooms where there are people of very different backgrounds, that we have to go wide to go all. We can't teach to a middle white audience and expect others will catch up. It's not fair. It's human disrespect. So we want to make these respectful, safe, healthy environments. Thank you very much. Now we'll go on. Merci.